Hey guys, welcome back. Before I get into what I'm going to talk about here a little bit, I want to say sorry. I haven't made a video in a long time. I don't even know how long it's been. I haven't checked when the last upload was. It's been weeks, if not a month. It's just been busy, you know. This is a hobby, and so I haven't had a lot of time. But I have had time to shoot with my camera just for personal family stuff. You know, I upload things in Amazon Photos and Google Photos. So I keep that for family memories, that kind of stuff. And I've also shot some film, which I haven't developed yet. So that's some of the reason why. But I realize it's been about 2 months now, which is about a record for me, holding on to a camera, since I purchased this camera right here, the Fuji X100V. And so I wanted to share a couple things that I love about this camera. And if anybody's interested in buying this camera or you want some feedback, how I like it personally compared to other things, I wanted to give some feedback for you guys. So let's talk about that. I'll give you a quick update on that one project I was talking about doing around my neighborhood, and then I'll talk about something else I've been thinking about in terms of Fuji cameras and stuff I want to buy. So I just realized there's a little tiny little scuff on here. Nonetheless, the X100V, I can tell you without any doubt in my mind right now that this camera is my favorite camera that I've ever used to date so far, by a long shot. And it comes down to a couple reasons why. One, I like the form factor. I like the way it looks. It inspires me. I know it's kind of cliche for people talking about the Fuji cameras, but I really like this rangefinder style type camera, if you will. That look. It looks like a old Contax, or maybe like a Leica in some ways. I like that look. It's really important to me. But in terms of functionality, the reason why I really like this camera is back in my DSLR days, I actually prefer or enjoy using an optical viewfinder. I know this is odd, but for me, I'm one of those people looking through an electronic viewfinder, it kind of disconnects the experience. Even though I like the what you see is what you get type of phenomena or type of output you get from those types of things, it disconnects me from the experience a little bit. Now, I'll say this, when I'm trying to dial on an exposure and get it right, I certainly will flip over to EVF, and I prefer that all day. But if I'm shooting for pleasure, for fun, and I've really come to trust this camera, I like the optical viewfinder. Some people find this to be a gimmick. I like it for two reasons. One, I'm connected. I see things happening in real time. But two, the frame lines inside the viewfinder, I get to see what's coming into frame before I shoot the photo, which I didn't think it'd be a big deal, but it's kind of cool. I really like it. It just gets me more engaged with the camera. So I'll say, number one, the optical viewfinder, I like it. I'll talk more about that in a second. Two, the lens on this camera. Now, I don't have any experience with prior X100, so I can't comment there. This lens is very good on this camera. It's very sharp, it's responsive, it has a close focusing distance, a relatively close focusing distance. I really enjoy the lens on this camera, it has great contrast. I think they did a great job updating the lens inside this camera. That's number two. Number three, ergonomics. Now, it is a little slippery, and the grip isn't really robust here on this camera. That's why I have the hand strap, and I use that to make sure I don't drop this thing. But I love the button here on this OVF, EVF switch right here. I know all other cameras have front buttons, but I like the way this one's placed because this happens to be where my finger falls. I use this to turn eye and face detection on and off. I typically have it off because I will focus recompose, kind of old school, unless I'm doing something that's moving. But if it's a portrait, boom, click the button, I'm in eye detection or face detection, which is awesome. Other than that, I rarely ever touch the shutter and ISO dial. I like the way they implemented it here, but I rarely ever touch it because I shoot mostly in aperture priority unless I'm doing something where I want to drag the shutter and create that motion blur, or I know I'm in a low light situation, or I want to freeze action, which again, that's kind of out of the norm relative to things that I'm photographing. And this camera's been with me for pretty much every day the last 2 months, and I've really come to love it. So if anybody's considering using this camera or buying this camera, absolutely. I think it's awesome. Now I'm going to talk about 2 or 3 things that are cons, right, from using this for a while. Number one, the focal length is perfect. But there are a lot of times where I'm like, man, this would be really cool if this was a 16 or 18 millimeter lens to get that wide field of view. For example, I really love the 16 millimeter f1.4 lens that Fuji makes. It is really an awesome, unique lens, and that field of view is fantastic. My buddy has an X70, which comes with an 18mm f2.8, and sometimes that wider field of view just gives a better perspective on the image, and I think that's cool. Now, you can, of course, buy the WCL, the wide angle converting lens, to get that wider angle. I haven't done that, so take that with a grain of salt. And then there's, of course, times where I want to shoot something further away. Maybe it's something more sports oriented, which hasn't happened much during COVID, or it's just a bird, or I want to compress the image a bit more, or it's a landscape, or I want to cut a bunch of the noise out, but I can't get that far. And that's when I really, really miss having an interchangeable lens camera. That is kind of a bummer at some points. I'll say also this camera, although I've never had it happen, or I haven't had it happen very often, on a couple occasions where I have been hammering off a lot of shots, this one has gotten warm. But no issues, no performance issues, no slowdowns, so absolutely everything totally perfect there. And I guess that's the end of the cons, really. Battery life has been better than I expected. Responsiveness is great. I just think overall it's a fantastic camera. And this gets me to the point, the first point out of the 3 points in this video, it's got me thinking about a hybrid approach between this X100V and this X-T2. I really am interested in the X Pro 3, and the only thing that stopped me in the past was the back screen. The back screen on the X100V compared to prior X100 models is awesome. I haven't pulled it out and tilted much, as much as I thought I would, but the ability to do something like this and tilt it is always great if you want the option. So let's talk about the X Pro 3 for a second. I've been thinking about it a lot. It is slightly bigger than this, and you can't discount the fact that this lens was made for this camera, and it's so small and compact. But I've been thinking about, can I get this same feel and aesthetic, the same optical viewfinder, the same button placement, and ability to flip between EVF and OVF, the same feel, but have the ability then to put a 55 to 200 on there, 50 to 140, or a 16mm f1.4, or even other primes that might have better contrast and tonal output, like the 35-1.4 and the 23-1.4, the 56-1.2. I've been thinking about that X Pro 3. Of course, it also has dual SD card slots. It's made out of titanium, or titanium top and bottom plates, so it's a bit more robust potentially than this. And I've been thinking about that quite a bit. And I think about, well, what lens I put on there to get back to this form factor, and really there's only two that I can think of that are made by Fuji anyways that would fit the bill, and that's the 27mm lens and the 18mm lens. Everyone seems to dog on the 18mm lens. I've never used it. I'm interested in trying it. I've heard bad things about it, but that would be perfect because it's got that wide angle 18mm. It is f2, so I can get some shallow depth of field, and it is pancake to kind of replicate this same form factor and profile. And of course, the 27 is also a fantastic lens, according to what I've been told. So I'm thinking about an X Pro 3, and if I find a really good used one, or a good deal open box or something, I might consider that and purchase one of those and try it here. So I just wanted to update you guys. It's been some time since I've come on and made a video on my YouTube channel. It's funny, I get monetized and I stop making videos. Clearly, I'm not doing this for the money. That's the first thing. The second thing is, a while back, I made a video about a challenge to walk around your neighborhood or your surroundings, your block, wherever, I don't know what your situation is, and just photograph regular things trying to create art or composition. Admittedly, I've become so busy, I failed at this a little bit, I stopped. But I did collect 4 or 5 images. I'm opening up my phone to kind of look at them right now. I'm doing everything in black and white, and specifically I created a film simulation that is supposed to replicate Ilford HP5. I'm having some fun with that. I'll put these pictures up at the end of this video so you guys can see them. Only 4 photos so far. I want to get to 10 or 12 to kind of create just a small photo book, if you will, of my neighborhood and surroundings. Let me know what you guys think. Trash, good, bad, whatever it is. I just want to share them with you guys. And if you guys are doing a photo challenge also as well, I would love for you guys to maybe link me to your video or link me to your Flickr page in the comment section or whatever you're using to upload photos. I'm not sure what people use these days. I would love to check them out. I'm really interested in creating a community out of this whole experience. So I'll put those up. Oh, and the last thing, yeah, film. So I'll talk about this in a future video. I had a Canon AE1 completely cleaned and lubricated and rebuilt. It's my dad's AE1, and I shot some Eterna 100, and I'm so excited to get that back and see what that looks like. I'm actually dropping that in the mail today. I want to see what the scans look like. Just a lot of family stuff, but I want to see how the film looks. the color output. I want to see if the camera, the shutter speed issue is fixed. I had issues with the camera. All those sorts of things I'll talk about in a future video. But I did shoot some film. If you guys are into film stuff, that's awesome. Oh, one more comment. Fourth thing, I guess, bonus round. Film simulations on Fuji. I love them. But sometimes okay, let me put it this way. I don't shoot a lot of RAW, as you guys know. I've been trying to shoot mostly in camera JPEG. And a lot of the film simulations are baked in a way that I like the output a lot. Classic negative, classic chrome, you know, shifting white balance to get like a portrait experience or whatever. I love that. But there's one output that I'm always jealous of that I like. It's the Leica color science with their high-end lenses on there. I know it's a combination of sensor, color science, and lenses. If anybody in the comment section below can link me to a film simulation or profile that can kind of get me to those Leica colors. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go look at Danae and Andrew's video where they compare Fuji to Leica. There are other people too that compared Fuji output to Leica output. I mean the classic Leica, like M8, M9. I heard even the Leica CL has that same color rendition, so I'm interested in that. Hit me up in the comment section below. I know I always talk to the camera, that's boring. I want to take you on photo walks in the future, but I appreciate you watching this. I wanted to give an update to you guys, and if you're thinking about it, absolutely get this camera. It is awesome, with the exception of not being able to change the lenses like I talked about. Again, I'm gonna look for an X Pro 3 and maybe compare and contrast the two cameras and then decide which one to keep and which one to let go of. Or maybe I keep both, I don't know. Anyways, that's it guys. I will throw up those 4 or 5 photos from my little walks. See you in the comment section below. I'd love to engage with you guys. I'll see you next time.